To celebrate the fact that yesterday was World Coming Out Day, I wanted to discuss a little bit about Heartstopper Season 3. For me, the most interesting thing about Season 3 is the level of emotional maturity that a character like Nick, who's playing a 16-year-old, is showing throughout the whole series. Emphasized even more on Season 3 because now Nick is having to deal with Charlie's things. And whereas like on Season 1, he had to deal with himself, so like the fact that the process that it was for him to come out. So that is so complicated. And I have lived in a boarding school just for boys. And I have lived and seen how difficult it is for younger kids to be able to understand who they are and to have the emotional maturity to process all of the feelings that they're having for another person and the strenuous situation that is to have those feelings exposed and known by other people. In my own life, I saw that happening over and over again, and people were constantly super afraid of getting close to somebody like me, for example, that I am very out about my things. I, try to express myself as much as I can. So I see even like nowadays how afraid certain people are, even in their late 20s here in Italy that I'm living here currently. I see how hard for them it is to be able to be honest with themselves and understand that they are in a spectrum in a way or another, in a sexuality fluidity spectrum, and it's so hard for them to understand that and to understand that that is okay. So what I see the most is that these people are constantly either trying to trick themselves because they're trying to hide behind labels that they find for themselves, or they're trying to hide themselves from society, so they're not honest with people around them. So there is a constant propagation of prejudice in society. So I think already in that level, to be able to face your fear, because that's what it is, like people are afraid to show themselves. I completely understand that because I was also afraid to show myself, but it's a fear that you have. So some people are not strong enough to face their fear because it requires a lot of energy and it requires you to understand what that is. And our subconscious fears that are formed very early on in our lives are one of the hardest things for you to face because it's a fear that comes and you don't really understand why or where, but you're terrified of doing that. So facing those fears and understanding where they're based, who are they about, what are you afraid of really, is one of the most important things for you to move on and for you to stop prejudice. That works not only for you with yourself, because that's something that if you want to live your life authentically, you have to overcome in one way or another. And it's very complicated as well for society as a whole, because everybody in society will have to face the fear of having the different, of having the diverse, which actually has always been there, but is just now being actually looked at. Facing your fears is not as easy as it sounds like, and Nick has shown a great deal of courage in order to not only face the fears that he had, understand who he is, defend that reality for himself and for Charlie.